Well, thanks everyone. I'm going to talk to you about how you can best present your accomplishments. Now, please note that everything I share with you is my own personal opinion, and it's based on my experience of what is and what isn't an effective strategy when seeking a new role. As a quick intro, I'm Lucy Jones. I'm a director at an executive search firm called Lawson Brook. And although we work across the go-to-market and technical functions of early stage tech companies, I've been in tech recruitment for, well over a decade and placed technology professionals across all disciplines and at all levels for finance, technology, media and telco companies, as well as the large global systems integrators and consulting firms. But over the last few years, I've developed a real love and expertise for developer relations, which is how I know Kevin at You Got This. Well, I've got lots to share with you, so let's jump in. Firstly, why this topic? Well, the way in which you present your skills, qualifications, your knowledge and experience really matters, because it will directly impact on your career trajectory, how far, how fast you progress, and the type and range of options that come your way. So I suppose the message here is never underestimate the fact that you are in a competitive situation. By making your profile the very best it can be, you are giving the reader every possible reason to add it to the yes pile and not discard it. Ultimately, what we're talking about here is being able to secure a new job. But remember, a new job doesn't always mean a new company. Career progression is either internal or external. Think about it. It makes sense for hiring managers to first look at the talent that exists inside their company, which they can promote, before looking externally. Why? Well, internal promotion is the easiest, least risky, least disruptive, and frankly, cheapest option for hiring managers. Equally, internal promotion works for you too, right? You feel valued, your teams know and trust you, you've built some relationships and established and set working patterns. You kind of know how the whole machine works. So in short, it's a lot less risky for you to stay put than move elsewhere. However, you cannot be complacent. Just because you may be in discussions with your existing company about an internal move, they might well be using the expertise of a recruitment consultant, someone like me, to benchmark you against the talent that exists outside of the company. This happens far more commonly than people realize. Lastly, even if you don't get that internal promotion, by presenting yourself in the best possible way, your management teams will know you're ready for a move and will hopefully keep you in mind for other opportunities. Now, not all our qualifications, achievements, skills, and knowledge are obtained directly within our paid employment, but it is really beneficial to capture your extracurricular activities and side projects, as they are often career enhancing. How exactly? Well, they could give you that vital competitive edge, or position you for a broader set of opportunities by increasing your visibility to a wider audience. For example, a contributor to a course may end up being offered the chance to become a course tutor or mentor. A developer with a particular expertise may be invited to share their knowledge by speaking at an event, participating in a podcast, writing a blog post, or creating resources for others. So be sure to include all your accomplishments, not just those you're paid for. And finally, a quick note about the difference between candidates who are passively seeking versus actively seeking for new opportunities. Generally speaking, the more senior and experienced a person is, or those with a particularly rare set of skills, the less likely they will have to actively seek out their next job. Those of us in recruitment refer to these candidates as passively seeking at best. In other words, they expect someone like me or someone within their own network to approach them about an opportunity, not the other way around. There comes a point in many careers where most job opportunities are simply not advertised. And so by making your profile as appealing, discoverable, and up to date as possible, you are increasing the likelihood that you will be considered for a role that has very little competition because the vacancy has never been made public. So what are the right channels to share your accomplishments? Well, for today's audience, I would suggest the following. Number one, CVs. Yes, there are more and more AI-driven automated recruitment platforms in the world today, but CVs remain the primary format for applying for a job. In a minute, we'll discuss the difference between a CV and a LinkedIn profile, but other channels where you may be required or might want to share your accomplishments with the world include company websites. Now, not all of you will be asked to or may not want to have a professional bio on your company website. But if the opportunity presents itself, I encourage you to go for it. Web pages with pictures and bios of staff are often one of the most viewed pages on a company's website. It's also a great and free way of boosting your discoverability. Personal websites. Again, the primary goals here are discoverability and to stand out from the competition. Your own space means you're free to express your creativity and make your own profile even more dynamic than is possible in other channels. It may be a chance to showcase or acquire other skills outside of your primary domain, not to mention learn how to refine your social media skills. Personal sites are also fabulous spaces to house your entire portfolio of work, side projects, blog content, talks, and so on. Besides which, as you gain longevity in your career, it becomes very easy to lose track of samples of your work. And for those individuals who are changing lanes in their career, maybe switching into a career in tech from somewhere else, personal sites are a useful space to share how your life before led you to your current role and what the common threads are. Lastly, personal sites are great spaces for learning in the open and charting your trials and triumphs. Now, obviously, GitHub is a really important channel too. First and foremost, it's proof you understand Git and can structure your code. And by updating your code, you're showing you're active and engaged. You could use GitHub pages to showcase your work and badges to enhance your repository. But primarily, GitHub is a way of providing solid proof of your excellence in specific technologies, languages, and frameworks, and demonstrates these skills in a manner that cannot be conveyed through a traditional CV. Contributing to open source projects shows that you're interested in helping others and are an active participant in community and the further advancement of the technology. So a well-organized GitHub profile will build confidence in your hiring manager. It may even help negate the need for a technical test or point to some of the ongoing training and development best suited to you. And lastly, LinkedIn. It's the de facto professional social platform, and it is the first place hiring managers and recruiters look for talent. It allows you to showcase your achievements and skills, build your professional brand, and grow your network. And by sharing content and insights, you will quickly become known as an expert in your field. But with all of these channels, the key thing here is to keep them as up to date as possible. You want to be discoverable and relevant. So get the balance right for you. Too many channels becomes unwieldy and ineffective. Now, both your CV and LinkedIn profile are important tools, and you should use both of them in your job search strategy. So make sure they are consistent and complementary. But remember, they serve very different purposes. A LinkedIn profile is a powerful personal branding tool that broadly summarizes your career history, helps you expand your network, and so helps to surface opportunities to you and flag you as a potential candidate to others. While a CV also encapsulates your career history, it is a highly targeted document that provides much greater detail and is tailored to a specific opportunity because its purpose is to validate your suitability for a particular role. While they both convey your expertise and value as a professional, the primary differences are in content, tense, and tone. Your CV is a formal document written in the third person that provides a comprehensive summary of your education, work experience, skills, and achievements. The content your CV provides should be more detailed and highly specific, matching as far as is possible the knowledge, expertise, and experience that you have to the exact requirements of a specific job. On the other hand, LinkedIn is a social media platform that allows you to build personal relationships with professionals and showcase your personal brand. It should be written in the first person and will have a more informal tone. And without risking to sound like your mum, please remember LinkedIn is an open public forum, so keep your public persona professional and polite at all times. I'm often asked how long a CV should be, but honestly, there are no hard and fast rules when it comes to designing a CV, so it can absolutely reflect your personality. Whereas LinkedIn is more of a static catch-all for broad appeal. It's a standardized template after all. Yes, keywords are important in both, but probably more so for LinkedIn. Using these tools thoughtfully and in tandem will make you more likely to be contacted by recruiters and greatly enhance the likelihood you will be interviewed and offered a job. Actually, when I think of CVs, I think of them like plants. They are living documents. They need feeding and watering, so tend to them and keep them up to date. It makes your search for a new role faster and more effective, which saves you valuable time and money when you need it most. But what to include? Well, this could be a talk in itself, and I'm not going to run through all the different elements of a CV today. But what I would say is that you never know when you might need to press send on your CV. So my top tip is to make it as easy as possible to update. And Ben Greenberg, who I'm a big fan of, talks of keeping a brag book, a little journal where you can jot down your achievements. Each entry doesn't have to be enormous. It can simply be, I helped resolve that support ticket. I maintained this part of the docs. I forged a relationship with another team. I mentored a junior developer. I obtained a certificate in, or I now know how to. All of those things are noteworthy. Whether you dictate them quickly at the end of the week, just capture them and do it religiously. It takes the legwork out of writing a CV. And besides, we all forget stuff. So the next two slides, I hope, will give you some practical examples of why we are focusing so much on this word accomplishments specifically, and a couple of tips to help you write about them. Remember, a recruitment process is designed to de-risk employment. The consequences of making a bad hire are too great for businesses not to put candidates under the microscope, and each part of the process is designed to achieve certain goals. Step 1, the goal of a LinkedIn profile is to make you discoverable and place you, so to speak, in the talent hopper as a person of interest. Step 2 is to convert on that and move you from the hopper down the funnel. In other words, the goal of a CV is to get you an interview. Take a moment to read this excerpt from a CV. Having read this, My feedback comes in the words of Shania Twain. That don't impress me much. While this gives us a clear picture of the candidate's range of responsibilities, it leaves me with more questions and answers. Responsibilities do not equal achievements. It's too vague and doesn't give me any understanding of what contribution, what difference, what impact candidate from company ABC actually had to the bigger picture. How sure can the hiring team be that they achieved anything at all? It's okay to include one sentence that summarizes your remit, your purpose, or your responsibilities, but the body of text for each role should answer the question, so what? So you were a staff software engineer for the past 3 years. So what? We recruiters are evidence gatherers. We need to know the difference that you made in your time in that role. How did you move the whole thing on from when you took on the role to now? So make everything you write outcome-based and measurable. This is one of the hardest aspects of writing a profile. So let's look at another example. Here, the candidate has summarized their responsibilities at the top, but they have produced a high level of specificity that clearly demonstrates the impact their work has had. Results are provided and are both qualitative and quantitative. In order to produce content like this, it requires you to be curious yourself. You have to care and follow through with your managers and perhaps other teams to get this level of detail. But it's important. If you do, your ratio of CV to interview requests will increase exponentially. And it also means that the interview itself becomes far more meaningful. It becomes a how conversation as opposed to a what conversation. Instead of what does that involve? What was your role in that? The most significant accomplishments are already broadly understood. So the conversation becomes more, tell me how you went about increasing platform engagement and how did you address code quality? This type of conversation at interview is far more effective at giving hiring managers confidence as the chat adds greater context and allows employers to explore your working style, approach to projects, and culture fit far more effectively. So in summary, when writing about your experiences, keep the content outcome-based, not responsibility-based. Make sure you answer the so what question to demonstrate your impact and personal contribution, and include measurable results for everything. But let's face it, not everything works out as planned or hoped for at work. Everyone experiences setbacks in their career at some point. What's important is how you respond to those setbacks, what you learn from them, and how you communicate them in your CV or interview. And for that, I suggest you remember Harry eats green eggs for unlimited time. I used to be a teacher, so I love a mnemonic. The first point here is pretty obvious. Highlight all the other achievements that are relevant to the job you're applying for. After all, you're not going to actively promote failings in your CV. Next, exclude what is unnecessary. It won't be essential for the reader to know all the detail. So choose what to include, what to exclude, but don't be deceptive. It's imperative you build trust, so all claims need to be truthful and accurate. And if you do choose to omit something significant, be prepared for it to be unearthed through questioning at interview, so have an answer prepped for it. Next, give context, but be accountable. There are many factors beyond our control or influence which impact our success at work. It's okay to share this, but don't sound like you're blaming others. Take accountability for it. And at the same time, emphasize the positives. In other words, emphasize what you achieved despite the constraints placed on you, the changes in circumstances, the factors beyond your control. You can also hint at what might have been achieved had it been possible. And if you focus on what you've learned from the experience, you are once again drawing a positive from a negative situation. You will show you're willing to learn from your mistakes, can adapt if you were faced with that situation again, that you've grown as a professional. Finally, use positive language to describe the situation. For example, instead of saying, I wasn't able to reach the velocity of new feature releases planned, say, despite my engineering team shrinking by 4 engineers, we were still able to deliver fortnightly sprint cycles, and through consistent use of agile methods, I now understand how much can be achieved with very few resources at our disposal. Well, that kind of brings me to the end. I hope I've given you a few insights into why it is essential to master presenting your accomplishments effectively, along with some practical tips on how to achieve it. Remember, whether you're going for a promotion at your current company or a new job somewhere else, the chances are it will be, so treat it like a competition. Think about the purposes, pros and cons of each channel and get the balance right for you. Use a brag book to chart your progress and regularly update all your docs. Be sure to include all your achievements, not just those you're paid for. And when writing up your accomplishments, make them outcome-based, not responsibility-based. Answer the so what question and be specific about your contribution and impact, providing quantitative and qualitative results for everything. If you need to tackle a missed objective or setback, remember Harry eats green eggs for unlimited time. And if you manage to do all of the above, then I promise you there will come a point in your career when opportunities will come to you and you will spend less effort actively seeking them out. Thanks so much.